The night was heavy with storm clouds, the sky rumbling as if the world itself was angry. Lightning flashed across the horizon, showing broken trees and the ruins of a burned village. The smell of smoke still hung in the air, mixed with the metallic scent of blood. He walked slowly through the wreckage, his boots crunching on shattered stone. His name was Daniel, a simple man, not a soldier, not a hero. He had stayed behind when others ran, searching for anyone who might still be alive. His heart pounded as the wind howled, carrying distant screams that faded into silence. Then he saw her. At first he thought it was only a fallen body. She lay among the ashes, unmoving, her clothes torn, her side stained with blood. But when lightning struck again, he saw her hand twitch. Her fingers curled weakly, as if she was holding on to life with the last of her strength. Daniel rushed forward, kneeling beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" he asked softly. Her eyes opened, glowing faintly in the darkness. They were not human eyes. They were brighter, like two fragments of the night sky. She tried to speak, but only a weak sound escaped her lips. "Don't move," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I'll help you." She shook her head slowly, as if she knew help might be useless. With great effort, she lifted her trembling hand and touched his arm. Her skin was cold, almost too cold for a living being. Then he saw it, the strange mask covering half of her face. It was silver, old, marked with glowing lines. Daniel froze. He had heard whispers about masked strangers. People called them cursed, dangerous, not to be trusted, and now one of them was lying in his arms. The girl coughed, blood staining her lips. She struggled to breathe, every breath shallow and painful, yet her eyes never left his face. In that moment, he saw both fear and hope in her gaze. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. Her words were soft, but they cut through the storm. Daniel bent closer, trying to hear her. "Don't let me die alone." His chest tightened. He didn't know who she was, didn't know why she wore that strange mask, didn't know if helping her would bring danger to his own life, but he couldn't turn away. He couldn't leave her. "I'm here," he said firmly. "I won't leave you." She closed her eyes for a moment, tears slipping down from beneath the mask. When she opened them again, she whispered something that made his blood run cold. "Remove my mask." Daniel froze. The mask seemed almost alive, its silver edges glinting in the lightning. He felt as if it was watching him, warning him not to touch it. "You'll finally know who I really am." Her voice was weak, fading, but the weight of her words pressed on his heart. Who was she? Why was she hiding behind this mask? And what truth could be so terrible that she had carried it in silence until this moment? The storm raged louder, wind tearing through the broken village. Daniel held her closer, shielding her from the rain. He looked around. No one else was there. No one to judge. No one to tell him what to do. Only him and the girl whose life slipped away with each second. He hesitated, his hand hovering near the mask. Should he listen to her? Should he pull it away and discover the truth? Or should he wait, fearing what he might see? Before he could decide, her body trembled violently. She gasped for air, clutching his shirt with surprising strength. He felt her nails dig into his skin as if she was begging him to act. "Please, before it's too late." Her words were broken, desperate. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. The mask glowed faintly again, the silver lines pulsing like veins of light. Thunder roared above them, shaking the ground. The storm seemed to scream with her as if the world itself was warning him. But he could not let her die without hope. With shaking hands, he held her tighter, his face close to hers. "I'll help you," he whispered. "I swear I'll find out who you are. I won't let you fade away." Her breathing slowed. She relaxed slightly as if his promise was enough. Her head rested against his shoulder, her hair damp with rain. For a long moment, Daniel sat there in the ruins, holding her fragile body in his arms. The mask pressed coldly against his chest, hiding the truth, keeping the secret. And as the night deepened, he realized something terrifying. Whatever truth lay behind that mask, it was already pulling him into a fate he could not escape. The girl in his arms was not just a stranger. She was a mystery that could change everything, and she was slipping away. The Mask of Secrets. The storm slowly began to fade, but the world around Daniel was still broken. Houses lay in ashes, trees burned down to black skeletons, and the wind carried only silence. He carried the girl through the ruins, her body weak against his chest, her blood leaving a dark trail on his shirt. Every step felt heavy. He was only a simple man, yet now he was holding a secret that could change everything. The strange mask pressed against his arm, cold and unyielding. He could not stop thinking about her words. "Remove my mask. You'll finally know who I really am." But he hadn't removed it. Not yet. The girl stirred, opening her glowing eyes again. She looked up at him with pain, but also with something else. Trust. She should not trust him, a stranger. Yet in her fading moments, she had chosen him. "Where are you taking me?" Her voice cracked, weak but curious. "Somewhere safe," Daniel replied, though he was not sure if any place was truly safe anymore. He found an old abandoned inn at the edge of the ruined village. Its roof was half broken, but one small room still stood, its walls strong enough to keep the storm away. Daniel pushed the door open with his shoulder and laid her gently on a dusty bed. She shivered, clutching her side where the wound bled. Daniel tore a strip of cloth from his shirt and pressed it against her injury. She winced, but did not cry out. "You shouldn't help me," she whispered, her voice almost fading into the night air. "Why not?" he asked firmly, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Because if they see you with me, they will hate you too." Daniel paused. He remembered the rumors. Villagers often spoke of masked ones, strangers who walked among shadows, never showing their faces. They said those who wore the mask carried curses, that their true forms brought only death. People feared them, hunted them, and now one lay. Here in his care, he studied the mask closely. It was not made of wood or steel. It seemed alive, carved with ancient lines that pulsed faintly with light like veins under skin. No straps held it in place, yet it clung perfectly to her face, covering one side as if it had grown into her. "Who are you?" Daniel asked softly. The girl looked away, her glowing eyes filling with tears. "If I tell you, you won't believe me. You'll think I'm a monster." Daniel sat beside her, silent for a moment. Then he spoke gently. "You don't look like a monster to me." Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe him, but centuries of fear weighed heavier than his kind words. She closed her eyes and whispered, "They call me cursed, banished, dangerous. All because of what hides behind this mask." Daniel felt a chill run through him. He wanted to ask more, but she suddenly grabbed his hand, squeezing it with surprising strength. "Promise me," she said, her voice desperate. "If you ever see what's under the mask, you won't turn away." Her words carved themselves into his heart. He nodded slowly. "I promise," she exhaled, her trembling body easing for a moment. Yet outside, the night carried other dangers. Shadows moved near the inn. Daniel heard the crunch of boots on gravel, the hushed voices of soldiers. His heart raced. They were searching for survivors, or maybe for her. The girl's glowing eyes widened in fear. She pressed her hand to his chest. "Hide me. If they find me, they will kill us both." Daniel's mind raced. He blew out the small lantern flame and helped her slip under the bed, covering her with an old blanket. Then he stood by the door, his heart pounding so hard he thought the soldiers might hear it. The door creaked open. 2 men stepped inside, holding torches. Their armor shone faintly, marked with the insignia of the ruling lords. "Another empty place," one muttered. "But they say the masked girl was seen nearby. She cannot have gone far." Daniel forced his voice to remain calm. "There's no one here." Only me. I was looking for shelter. The soldiers scanned the room, their torches casting shadows across the walls. One of them paused near the bed, the firelight brushing dangerously close to the girl's trembling form beneath it. Daniel clenched his fists. His throat went dry. One wrong move, and her secret would be exposed. But after a long silence, the soldier grunted. "Nothing, let's move." The men left, their footsteps fading into the night. Daniel exhaled heavily, sweat rolling down his forehead. He quickly pulled the girl back out, her body shaking from fear and weakness. "Why are they hunting you?" he asked, his voice sharp but low, her eyes filled with tears. She held his hand again, her voice breaking. "Because of what I am, and because of what's behind this mask." Her words lingered in the air like a curse. Daniel looked at her, torn between fear and compassion. The mask glowed faintly, almost as if it was listening. He knew then that his life had changed forever. He could no longer walk away. The chase in the shadows. The night grew colder, the storm leaving only a thin mist that curled around the ruined village. Daniel sat by the broken window of the old inn, his eyes fixed on the distant torches moving through the darkness. Soldiers were still searching. Their voices carried through the silence, harsh and restless. Beside him, the girl rested on the bed, her breathing shallow. The cloth Daniel had tied around her wound was already dark with blood. Her strength was fading quickly, but her glowing eyes stayed open, watching him with quiet fear. "They won't stop," she whispered weakly. "They will hunt me until the end." Daniel looked at her, torn between anger and confusion. "Why? Why are they so desperate to catch you?" Her lips trembled. She wanted to speak, but fear silenced her. Instead, she shook her head and looked away. Daniel clenched his jaw. He didn't understand her secret, but he knew one thing. If they found her, they would kill her. A sudden crash outside made him freeze. The soldiers were drawing closer. Their boots hammered the stones, their voices sharp as they shouted orders. Daniel's heart raced. He knew they could not stay here any longer. He turned to the girl. "We need to move." She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. "I can't. I'm too weak." Daniel knelt beside her and slipped his arms under her fragile body. She gasped but did not resist as he lifted her once again. Her mask pressed against his shoulder, its cold surface sending a strange chill through him. Carrying her, he moved silently out the back of the inn, slipping into the fog-covered streets. Shadows stretched long under the broken buildings. He walked quickly but carefully, every sound of his boots echoing like thunder in his ears. Behind them, torches lit the night. Soldiers were sweeping the area, their voices growing louder. "Find the masked girl, she cannot escape." Daniel's grip tightened. The girl buried her face into his chest, her body trembling. He whispered to her, "Stay quiet. I won't let them take you." The chase had begun. He darted through narrow alleys, the mist swallowing his figure. He knew the village's paths well, but the soldiers were many, and they were closing in fast. Every time he turned a corner, he saw their torches flicker closer. The girl coughed weakly. "Leave me. If they catch you, you'll die too." "Stop saying that," Daniel hissed. "I'm not leaving you." Her glowing eyes met his for a brief moment, filled with disbelief. No one had ever said those words to her before. Suddenly, a soldier appeared from the fog, blocking their way. His torchlight revealed Daniel's figure with the girl in his arms. "There she is," the man shouted. Daniel's heart leapt. He had no weapon, no shield, only desperation. He spun and ran in the opposite direction, his boots pounding against the broken ground. The girl clung to him tightly, her breath hot against his neck. Arrows whistled past them, striking the walls. Daniel ducked behind a collapsed house, breathing hard. The soldiers' shouts grew louder, their footsteps echoing closer. He spotted an old stone archway leading into the abandoned ruins at the edge of the village. It was their only chance. Gritting his teeth, he sprinted toward it, his lungs burning. The girl's voice trembled in his ear. "Why are you risking everything? You don't even know me." Daniel's reply was quick, almost angry. "Because You asked me not to let you die alone, and I gave you my word. Her eyes widened. No one had ever valued her life like this, not even her own people. They slipped under the archway just as soldiers poured into the street behind them. Daniel ducked into a narrow passage, the stones damp and cold. The ruins swallowed them in. Shadow, the soldiers shouted from outside. She's inside the ruins, spread out, find them. Daniel pressed his back to the wall, holding the girl close. His heart hammered in his chest, but he forced himself to stay silent. Every sound felt louder in the dark. The drip of water, the echo of boots, the girl's faint breaths. She whispered, her voice barely audible. If they see my face, they'll know the truth. That's why I hide. That's why the mask never leaves me. Daniel looked at her in the dim light. The mask seemed to glow faintly again, pulsing like a heartbeat. His curiosity burned stronger, but he knew this was not the moment. Survival came first. Shadows passed near the entrance. Soldiers searched every corner, their torches casting wild shapes on the walls. Daniel moved deeper into the ruins, each step heavy with fear. Finally, they reached an old chamber hidden beneath collapsed stone. It was cold, but safe, for now. Daniel set her down gently, his chest heaving. The girl looked at him, her eyes glistening. You don't understand. Once they know who I am, you'll regret saving me. Daniel knelt, meeting her gaze. Then, let me regret it later. Right now, I only care about keeping you alive. Her lips parted as if to protest, but no words came. Instead, a single tear slipped from beneath the mask. For the first time, she believed him, but outside, the hunt was not over. The soldiers' voices echoed in the distance, closer with every moment. The ruins were not as safe as they seemed. The shadows still chased them, and the truth behind her mask waited like a storm about to break. The whisper of truth. The ruins were quiet now, but Daniel knew the silence was dangerous. Somewhere beyond the broken walls, soldiers still searched. Their torches burned like angry stars in the fog, and their voices drifted in the distance. Daniel sat against the cold stone wall, his breath heavy, his arms still aching from carrying her. The girl lay across from him, her glowing eyes half shut, her chest rising and falling with weak effort. The silver mask on her face seemed almost alive in the dark, its faint lines pulsing like embers. He watched her carefully. She looked fragile, as if she could fade away at any moment, and yet there was something strong in the way she held his gaze, even in pain. Rest, Daniel whispered. You're safe here, at least for now. She shook her head slightly. There's no safety, not for me, not anywhere. Daniel frowned. Why? Why are they hunting you like this? What could you have done to deserve such hate? Her lips parted, but she hesitated. The words seemed heavy, too heavy to share. For a long moment she was silent, and Daniel thought she would refuse again. But then she whispered, her voice soft, trembling like a candle flame. I wasn't born like this. With the mask. Daniel leaned closer. His heart raced. It was forced on me, she continued, her fingers brushing against the metal edges. When I was a child, my people feared what I was becoming. They said I was too different. They said I would bring ruin. So they bound me to this mask, sealing away my truth. Her glowing eyes shimmered with tears. They cast me out, banished me. And from that day, I became the hunted. Daniel felt a weight in his chest. He had heard stories of cruel punishments, but never like this. To bind a child in metal, to curse her for being different. His stomach twisted with anger. You were just a child, he said quietly. That wasn't your fault. She gave a bitter smile, broken and fragile. To them, difference is always a crime. Her words lingered in the silence, and Daniel realized this was not just her story. It was a story of fear, of how people turned against what they didn't understand. But what are you hiding? Daniel asked, his voice trembling. What is behind the mask? Her eyes widened, glowing brighter. She looked at him for a long time, as if weighing whether she could trust him. Then, in a voice barely audible, she whispered, "My blood is not like theirs, or yours. I am both." Daniel froze. "Both?" She nodded slowly. "Half of me is human. Half of me is not." The words struck him like thunder. Half human, half alien. No wonder she was feared. No wonder she was hunted. She didn't belong to either, world cursed by both. "They say I am unnatural," she whispered. "That if my face is revealed, both sides will turn against me. That is why I hide. That is why I run." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He looked at her, really looked at her. The faint glow of her skin, the strange shimmer in her eyes, the mask hiding the truth. Suddenly it all made sense. But instead of fear, he felt something else. Pity, anger, and above all, a strange pull in his heart. "You're not unnatural," he said firmly. "You're alive, you're real, that's what matters." Her lips trembled, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You don't understand. If you saw what's under this mask, you would turn away like the others, even you." Daniel shook his head. "I gave you my word. I won't turn away." For a moment, silence wrapped around them like a cloak. Then, she reached out with her trembling hand, her fingers brushing against his. The touch was cold, but there was warmth hidden beneath it, fragile and desperate. "You don't know what you're saying," she whispered. "But I want to believe you. I want to believe someone could stay, even after knowing the truth." Daniel held her hand tighter. "Then believe it." Her glowing eyes locked on his, filled with both hope and fear. For the first time, he saw not just a stranger, not just a mystery, but someone deeply human beneath all the pain. Outside, the sound of soldiers drifted closer again, breaking the fragile moment. Daniel's heart raced. He knew they couldn't stay hidden much longer. But before he could move, the girl spoke again, her voice stronger than before. "If they capture me," she said, "they will tear the mask away by force. They will reveal me to the world. And when that happens, you must choose. Protect me, or walk away." Daniel's chest tightened. The choice already felt like a weight on his soul. He looked at her trembling form, her tears, her mask glowing faintly in the dark. And he knew, whatever happened, his life would never be the same again. The truth she carried was dangerous, but it was also fragile, and she had placed it in his hands, and he could not let her down. The ruins had kept them hidden for a while, but the night was long, and Daniel knew soldiers would not stop until they found her. Every shout in the distance, every flicker of torchlight, reminded him of the danger pressing closer. He glanced at the girl. She sat weakly against the wall, her glowing eyes dim, her breath uneven. The mask on her face caught the faint light, glowing faintly as if warning him of the storm yet to come. "We can't stay here," Daniel whispered. She nodded slowly, though her strength was nearly gone. Then, "Where will you take me?" Daniel thought hard. His own village was not far. The people there knew him, trusted him. Perhaps they would give her a chance if he begged them. It was risky, but it was the only hope he saw. "I'll take you home," he said finally. "They'll help us." Her expression darkened with doubt, but she said nothing. She was too weak to argue. Daniel lifted her once more, carrying her through the shadows. Hours later, as the first light of dawn touched the horizon, they reached the edge of his village. Smoke rose gently from chimneys, and dogs barked at the smell of strangers. The villagers were already awake, repairing fences and gathering water. When they saw Daniel stumble in carrying a blood-stained girl with a mask, whispers spread like fire. "Who is she? Is that one of the cursed? Why has he brought her here?" Daniel ignored their stares. He pushed open the door of his small wooden home and laid her on his bed. Then he turned to face the gathering crowd outside. "She needs help," he said firmly. "She's injured. Please, bring water, cloth, herbs, anything." But the villagers did not move. Fear filled their eyes. A man stepped forward. Thomas, Daniel's childhood friend, a hunter known for his sharp tongue. "Daniel," Thomas said harshly, "you know who she is. That mask isn't worn by friends, it's worn by outcasts, monsters. You bring her here, you bring danger to us all." Daniel's fists tightened. "She's not a monster. She's hurt. She needs help just like anyone else." The crowd murmured, some in doubt, some in anger. Thomas sneered. "You're blind, can't you see? She's one of them. If the soldiers find her here, they'll burn our village to the ground. You're risking all of us. For her." Inside the house, the girl stirred weakly, hearing every word. Tears welled in her glowing eyes, not from pain, but from the sharp edge of rejection she knew too well. Daniel stepped forward, his voice rising. "I don't care what you call her. She's alive and she deserves a chance. If anyone touches her, they'll answer to me." The crowd hesitated. Some lowered their heads, unwilling to fight him, but Thomas's face hardened. "You've lost your mind," Thomas growled. "If you won't give her up, then I will." He turned sharply to the crowd. "Fetch the soldiers. Let them see the truth of what Daniel hides." The words cut through Daniel like a blade. He rushed forward, grabbing Thomas's arm. "Don't do this." Thomas pulled away, his eyes cold. "Better one girl dies than our whole village." Daniel's voice broke with anger. "She's not just some girl, she trusted me, and I swore to protect her." The villagers gasped, shocked by his defiance. Thomas's jaw tightened, but his eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. "You'll regret this," he hissed. Then he ran toward the road, shouting for soldiers. Daniel's heart pounded. Betrayal. His own friend had chosen fear over loyalty. He rushed back inside. The girl looked at him with wide, trembling eyes. "They'll come. They'll tear the mask away. They'll kill me." Daniel knelt beside her, his hand brushing hers. "No, I won't let them." But outside, the sound of approaching boots grew louder. The soldiers had heard the call. Torches flared at the village gates. Voices shouted commands. The hunt had reached his home. Daniel looked at the girl. Her tears slid down the mask's silver edge. Her body shook not from pain but from despair. He gripped her hand tightly, his voice steady though his heart was breaking. "Listen to me. Whatever happens, you're not alone. I'll fight for you no matter what it costs." Her lips trembled. She wanted to believe, but the fear of betrayal was stronger. The door shook as soldiers pounded on it. The villagers gathered outside, their faces a mix of fear and judgment. Thomas's voice rose above them all. "Remove her mask. Show us what she really is." The girl gasped, clutching Daniel's arm. "Please, don't let them." Daniel stood, his heart racing. He faced the door as it cracked under the soldiers' blows, and in that moment, he realized this was no longer about hiding. This was about choosing. Would he hand her over to save himself and the village, or would he defy them all and protect her secret with his life? The door rattled under the soldiers' blows, each strike echoing like thunder through Daniel's small home. Villagers crowded outside, their whispers sharp with fear, their faces lit by torches. The girl lay on his bed, trembling, her glowing eyes wide with terror. Daniel's heart pounded. His own people, his neighbors, his friend Thomas, stood ready to betray him. The soldiers outside shouted again, "Open the door, hand over the ear." "Masked one." Daniel glanced at the girl. She clutched the blanket tightly, her fingers white with fear. "They'll break it. They'll tear the mask away," she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her, gripping her cold hand. "I won't let them. Not while I still breathe." The wood cracked again. The soldiers would soon break through. Daniel looked around the small room. No weapons, no shields, only old furniture and his courage. His throat felt dry, but his resolve hardened. The door burst open. Soldiers stormed in, their armor gleaming in the torchlight. Villagers crowded behind them, watching with wide, eager eyes. "There she is," one soldier barked, pointing at the girl. "Seize her." Daniel stepped in front of her, arms spread wide. "No, she's under my protection." The soldiers laughed, bitterly. Your protection means nothing. Move aside, farmer. Daniel's voice rose with fury. She's not a monster. She's wounded, she's afraid, and you're all blind with hate. But Thomas's voice cut through the air, sharp and cruel. If she's not a monster, then prove it. Remove her mask and show us her face. The crowd roared in agreement. Torches swayed, shadows danced on the walls. The girl gasped, tears slipping beneath the silver mask. Her body shook as if the weight of years of fear was pressing down on her. No, she whispered. Please. A soldier shoved Daniel aside. He stumbled but did not fall. Rage burned in his chest. He lunged forward, grabbing the soldier's arm. The two struggled, knocking over the table, spilling water and bread across the floor. Hold him, another soldier shouted. Two more grabbed, Daniel pinning him to the wall. He fought like a trapped animal, but their strength overwhelmed him. His eyes burned as he watched a soldier approach the girl. The man reached for her mask. At last we'll see what she hides. The girl screamed, her voice raw with terror. No, don't! Daniel roared, straining against the soldier's grip. Leave her alone! But the soldier's fingers touched the mask, and then the world seemed to shift. The silver surface pulsed with light, brighter and brighter, glowing like molten metal. The soldier cried out as heat burned his skin. He fell back, clutching his hand in pain. The crowd gasped. The mask cracked. Thin lines spread across its surface, glowing like lightning on stone. The girl trembled, her tears shining in the light. Each crack deepened, pieces breaking apart, falling like shards of glass to the floor. No, she whispered. Not like this. The villagers screamed in horror, some stumbling back. Others leaned closer, desperate to see. Thomas's eyes widened, his face pale with fear and triumph. It's happening. The curse is breaking. Daniel's heart thundered. He struggled harder, breaking free from one soldier's grip, slamming his fist into another's jaw. Blood sprayed, shouts filled the air, but his eyes never left her. The mask split down the center. A final piece clattered to the ground. Her face was revealed. Half of it was human, fragile, beautiful, with pale skin and trembling lips. But the other half glowed with alien light, veins of silver running across her cheek, her eye brighter than any star. She was both worlds in one fragile body, a living truth that terrified and mesmerized all who saw her. Gasps filled the room. Some villagers crossed themselves in fear. Others whispered prayers. Soldiers froze, their torches trembling in their hands. The girl hid her face in her hands, sobbing. Now you see? Now you know why I hide. This is what I am. A mistake, a curse. Daniel tore free from the last soldier and rushed to her side. He knelt before her, gently pulling her hands away. His own eyes burned with emotion. You're not a curse, he said fiercely. You're proof that two worlds can live in one heart. You're not something to fear. You're something to protect. She stared at him, stunned, her tears catching the light. But they'll kill me now. You too. Daniel glanced at the soldiers who hesitated, their courage faltering. The villagers stood frozen, torn between fear and awe. Then let them try, Daniel growled, standing tall in front of her once more. If they want to hurt her, they'll have to go through me. The soldiers shifted uneasily. None moved. Forward. The glow from the girl's alien side still shimmered, casting eerie light across the room. For a long moment, silence held them all. Then Thomas stepped forward, his voice shaking with anger. You're a fool, Daniel. Protecting her will doom us all. But Daniel did not back down. His voice rang like steel. No, abandoning her is what dooms us. Betrayal is the curse, not her. The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes wide with wonder. For the first time, she believed she was not alone. And yet outside the house, more soldiers gathered. The sound of marching boots echoed through the village. The night was not finished with them. The mask was gone. The truth was revealed. And the danger had only just begun. The face revealed. The night was heavy with silence after the mask shattered. Pieces of silver lay scattered across the wooden floor. glowing faintly before fading into dull metal. The girl sat trembling, her face revealed to the world at last. Half human, half alien. Soft skin mixed with shining veins of silver, one eye bright with starlight while the other carried sorrow. The villagers stared in shock. Some gasped, others whispered prayers, and a few stepped back as if her very presence was dangerous. Soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons, but none moved forward. Even they were caught between fear and wonder. Daniel stood tall in front of her, his body a shield. His heart pounded, but his voice was steady. Now you see, she's not a monster. She's not cursed. She's just different. And I will not let you harm her. Thomas, his old friend, pushed through the crowd, his face twisted with rage and fear. Look at her. You call that human? You call that safe? She's the reason. The soldiers came. She's the reason we're all in danger. If you protect her, Daniel, you betray your own people. Daniel's fists tightened, but his voice carried calm steel. No, Thomas, the only betrayal is turning on someone who is helpless. She trusted me when she had nothing left, and I'll stand by her, even if you all turn against me. The girl's glowing eye filled with tears. She whispered, broken, Why would you do this? I bring you nothing but danger. Daniel turned to her, his gaze soft but firm. Because you are alive. Because you deserve to be seen for who you are, not for the lies others tell. Because you are not alone anymore. Her breath caught. For the first time in years, hope flickered in her heart. The soldiers finally stepped forward, their captain raising his sword. Enough of this. She is wanted by the lords. If you resist, you die with her. Daniel raised his hands, but not to surrender. He spread his arms wide, placing himself between the captain and the girl. Then strike me first. Because you will not touch her while I stand. The villagers gasped. Some shouted for Daniel to move, others begged the soldiers to show mercy. But the captain's sword did not lower. The blade gleamed in the firelight inches from Daniel's chest. The girl cried out, her trembling voice breaking the silence. Stop. Don't hurt him. Her alien side glowed brighter, veins of silver spreading across her face, her body shaking. With energy she had long tried to hide. Light spilled into the room, making shadows dance wildly on the walls. Soldiers stumbled back, shielding their eyes. Thomas shouted, See! She is dangerous! But Daniel did not move. He looked at her, not with fear, but with calm. Don't be afraid of yourself, he whispered. You are not danger, you are strength. Her glow pulsed, then softened, wrapping around him like a protective light. The captain lowered his sword, his eyes wide with awe. The soldiers exchanged nervous glances, none dared move closer. Silence stretched, heavy and uncertain. Finally, one of the older villagers spoke, his voice trembling. Maybe she is not cursed. Maybe she is a sign. Half of us, half of them. Maybe she is what comes next. The crowd murmured, their fear cracking into doubt. Thomas, furious, turned to the villagers. Don't be fools. She will bring ruin. But fewer voices rose in agreement now. The girl looked around, tears slipping down her revealed face. For the first time she saw not only fear in their eyes, but something else. Hesitation. Curiosity. Even the smallest spark of acceptance. Daniel knelt beside her, gently lifting her chin. Look at them, he whispered. They don't all hate you. Not anymore. The truth is out. And you are still here. Still breathing. Still you. Her lips trembled. But what if they never truly accept me? Daniel smiled faintly, though his eyes burned with exhaustion. Then you'll still have me. That's enough for now. She stared at him, her glowing eye reflecting his face. In her heart, something long dead stirred again. Trust. The soldiers finally lowered their weapons. The captain's voice was uncertain, but firm. We will report this, but tonight, and we will not kill her or you. The lords may decide her fate, but that is not for us to choose. With that, the soldiers retreated, torches fading into the mist. The villagers slowly drifted away, whispers filling the air, leaving Daniel and the girl alone in the half-ruined house. The firelight dimmed. She leaned against him, her body trembling but her heart lighter than it had ever been. I thought, if my mask ever broke, it would mean the end, she whispered. Daniel wrapped his arm around her gently. No, it means a beginning. Outside, dawn was breaking. The first light of day spilled across the horizon, touching her face, human and alien together with gold. And for the first time, she did not turn away. She let the world see her, because in his arms, she had finally found something stronger than fear. She had found belonging.